So welcome to Lydden Hill. Bit of a different sort of meeting really we're at, because this is December and I can't remember the last time we had Rallycross in December. It is round 2 though, because of COVID of course. It's all been very, very disruptive. So round 2 takes place here on the 5th of December, and the first race we'll see are these guys, the BMW Minis. Now, are we going to see a Bell or are we going to see a BELLERBY take the honours?
The BMW Mini final is about to get underway. David Bell is the man who lines up on pole position. Bradley Turner's black car with him on the middle of the front row, number 61. And then Dave BELLERBY in 87 will line up on the outside of the front row, taking over daughter Drew's car. And with Drew now an expectant mum, probably not a great thing for pregnancy is to go rallycrossing, so Dad is given the driving duties. Dave Ellis is on the second row of the grid. He was quickest in Q1, so you've got 4 potential winners there. Leanne Sedgwick lines up on the outside of row 2. The third row, number 3, Adrian Turner. 66 though is missing, oddly, Rob Methold, so one car not on the grid. Martin Hawkes is there. I'm trying to work out why Rob Methold would be missing, because he didn't have any dramas in his semi-final, otherwise he wouldn't have qualified. So he got through all right. He did drop away on the Joker lap, but he still qualified. But that car is, as I say, missing from the grid, and the 6 lap final is about to get underway then, as the ready to race symbol is lit. Wait for the lights to go green now, and a good getaway by Dave BELLERBY. Not a brilliant start by Bradley Turner, a bit too much wheel spin. Marty Hawkes is away nicely in 35 up from the back of the grid. He goes for the Joker, and it is BELLERBY ahead of Bell then, with a little bit of nudging as they drop down towards the loose at Chesson's Drift now. So as they come across the loose for the first time, it is BELLERBY up front with, right on his tail, Dave Bell in second spot, and down they head into the Devil's Elbow then for the first time in third spot, the all-white car of Dave Ellis. And those that have Jokered in the background, it is going to be just Bradley Turner, I think, ahead of Marty Hawkes as the cars now make that climb uphill once more. Brake hard, and the race leader is Dave BELLERBY, but is he going to get away from Mini Maestro David Bell, second generation racer, champion, and indeed a man that knows exactly what he's doing in these cars, does David Bell. As the cars now drop down to paddock up to the completion of the first of 6 laps of the race. David Bell won here in August, and at the end of the opening lap, Dave BELLERBY leads by half a second. Bell goes for the Joker then, so if he can't do this on pure pace, let's see whether he can do it on the Joker strategy. Goes to the outside line, goes onto the Joker as Dave BELLERBY now gets his head down and pushes on. Dave Ellis runs second, and what about third? Well, it's going to be number 3 now, Adrian Turner, who gets himself up ahead of David Bell, behind whom there is Marty Hawkes alongside Bradley Turner. Those two go side by side down the elbow as the leader heads up towards the hairpin once again. So right now David Bell looks like he's in the box seat because he's got away from all the other Jokers, so to speak. 87, Dave BELLERBY heads down the hill once again, going this time into paddock with a reasonable advantage over Dave Ellis. So very, very experienced driver, of course, is Dave BELLERBY, not necessarily in BMW Mini terms, but he knows enough about rallycross and front-wheel drive, one-make categories, to put it all to good use. Dave Ellis now goes for the Joker as you're looking at the fight for what's about to become second between Adrian Turner and David Bell. And is Bell going to go ahead of Ellis on this Joker? Yes, he is. So that's Dave BELLERBY out front, and he's driving his own race, trying to build this gap. For second place on the road, it is Adrian Turner, and David Bell runs third, the best of those that have Jokered, as BELLERBY climbs the hill once more. His advantage last time over Ellis was 2.3 seconds. It was 2.6 seconds to Turner. So that's the margin that he's got in real terms, whereas Turner is under attack, incidentally. There, look for David Bell, who gets up the inside line coming out of the hairpin. They'll run side by side down the hill, heading now into paddock, and through he goes. David Bell up the inside, takes the place away then as they come into the right onto the loose at paddock yet again. Bell working hard now, and he needs to, because BELLERBY has just gone for the Joker lap. So it'll be a clear road ahead of Bell for the moment. He's onto the loose section of the circuit then as the cars now work their way through that right-hander. This is lap number 4 out of the 6. And as the cars come once again onto the tarmac, where out of all of that does David Bell drop to? He's second, so it is BELLERBY that keeps hold of the race lead. Third place currently is Dave Ellis, and the leading gap is still enough for Dave BELLERBY to be able to hang on all the way to the very end. It was 5.5 seconds before the Joker, but he's still got probably a good 4 or 5 cars lengths in hand as they come now out of the hairpin once again. Ellis for third, hanging hanging on the position. Marty Hawk still runs in 4th spot. And as they come down into the paddock, there's another little battle going on a bit lower down as well for 4th place now between them and Marty Hawks, and with the rear wheels kicking up into the air, Bradley Turner, nose to tail, they go out of the chicane down towards the loose section once more. Now the lead gap has come right down. It was 7/10 as they cross the line, and we have got 2 laps to go. So Dave Bellerby up front, but only just, now being given a real workover by David Bell, who's going to have a think possibly to the inside line. So Bellerby versus Bell. Dave Ellis runs in 3rd, a bit too far back to challenge as Marty Hawks comes under real attack here. Look from 61, which is Bradley Turner. And Turner, given that he was really impressive in his semi-final, has not shown the same pace going into the final itself. So a bit frustrating for him, all of this. As now downhill comes the leading battle, and Bell lines up to have a go on the inside line. Bellerby just gets his elbows out in time. He bends onto the loose they come, almost nose to tail as the last lap board is ready, and through they come. One more opportunity really for David Bell to challenge here. Now where does he make that move? Let's see as the cars hit the loose once again, as Bellerby hangs on to the advantage. Then across the loose we've got a yellow flag waving because we've had a drama coming out of the chicane for Bradley Turner. It doesn't affect the 2 race leaders one bit though, because they're away and gone, heading down towards the Devil's Elbow. That's Marty Hawks, who now is on his own in 4th place, with Bradley Turner having had a spin coming out of the chicane. But for the last time, Bell makes the attack on the outside line, makes the climb up the hill, can't find a way through on the outside line. Can he get the inside coming out of the corner? This is his last chance. Bellerby looks one way in the middle, looks the other. Bell tries for the inside line. Bellerby knew exactly what was coming and breaks as late as he dares going into paddock. Bell tries to go around the outside line, but to no avail, and he's going to run out of options here. So Dave Bellerby is going to win in the BMW Mini final. David Bell is 2nd. Dave Ellis will take 3rd. 4th is Marty Hawks. 5th, Leanne Sedgwick. 6th, Adrian Turner, and Bradley Turner there is going to be 7th, somewhat delayed after his spin. The gap at the end, 0.3 of a second between the top 2. Really, really good effort that by David Bell. Threw everything at it on the last lap, but Dave Bellerby knew what was coming and knew exactly where to put the car. Comes through to score a race victory by just 0.3 of a second. Dave Bellerby then wins round 2 of the BMW Mini Rallycross Championship from David Bell 2nd and Dave Ellis in 3rd place. Is it going to be the same story tomorrow, or can David Bell come out on top? So 2 rounds, 2 different winners, and Dave Bellerby making a significant impact on his BMW Mini debut. He is a delighted race winner here at Lydden.
When was the last time you drove a car?
A while now. It's a while now. I thought I was getting too old, but maybe I'm not.
Yeah, I tell you what, you shook the rust off on about the first lap, I reckon.
Yeah, I knew we had to go for it. It's all about the final, so the rest, all the heats are a practice.
I thought he was going to have you, you know, on that last lap, though. He was all over you.
He's got so much more go. They know the car's inside out, and he's definitely got more power than us, and that's what showed there. But you still got to you've got to finish in front to win.
Well, you did a great job. Your girls will be very proud.
Oh, I hope. Well, I know they will. Yeah, they'll. It saved me getting a kicking off them.
Oh, it's just typical Dave, innit? Doesn't race for 2 years and then comes back out and beats them all. It's just typical. He did it when he came out in my Lotus a couple of years ago at Silverstone, and to be honest, I wouldn't have expected anything different.
So British Rallycross round 2, and we've got 2 races for you for the Swifts. We've got, first of all, the Swift Juniors.
And it is the juniors, Tom Ovenden lining up on pole position, Luke Constantine alongside, and then Ben Sayer on the outside of the front row of the grid. Corey Paget is on row 2 with alongside number 152 of newcomer Caitlin May, and then the back row, Max Watt, and I'm delighted to say that just coming to the grid is Owen Robbins, who we've not seen out since the car broke and caused a red flag at the start of Q1. The Q1 race was twice red flagged, in fact. The first time because Max Watt had an accident, and the second time because on the restart Owen Robbins' car didn't go anywhere. But the grid is there, the grid is formed, and 6 laps for the junior final is set to get underway. The championship being led by the man on pole position, Tom Ovenden, with Luke Constantine second in the championship and Ben Sayer third, and they also lock out the front row of the grid. Ready to race board is shown. Drivers now look towards the lights, which in a moment will go green. We are racing. Who makes the best getaway? Not a brilliant start by Luke Constantine, but a good getaway by Ben Sayer on the outside line, and he then decides to go for the joker. He takes Caitlin May with him as there. On the inside line, Tom Ovenden just gets out his elbows, keeps the advantage ahead of Luke Constantine as they come across the loose for the first time then. It is going to be in third place by the look of it, Corey Paget, but a good start by the championship leader, Tom Ovenden. He's up front as the cars come onto the tarmac then, down towards the Devil's Elbow for the first time of 6, but right on his tail is Luke Constantine, both of them sophomore drivers in the junior championship, and getting away already from the third place car of Corey Paget then as they turn their way up through the hairpin. Turn out of the right-hander now, make the run downhill, but to the outside line goes 107. Luke Constantine tries to make a move there. He gets an absolute face full of Tom Ovenden, who is making that car very, very wide, but Constantine keeps on going all the way around the outside. Brilliant move, he's done it, gets his nose in front, and at the end of lap 1, Luke Constantine leads as he leaps over the curb, goes onto the loose at Chestons with Tom Ovenden in second place. Third was Corey Paget, but he's now gone joker. So it is up front Luke Constantine, but that was a really, really good move round the outside. Brave stuff. Maybe at the start of the day when it was more slippery he wouldn't have tried that, but you can't leave anything on the table in the final. Everything matters now. So Luke Constantine it is who leads the pack as they climb the hill. Now what has Tom Ovenden got by way of retaliation? He won here in August, did Tom, championship leader, but it's important for the man behind him in the points, Luke Constantine, to start this double-header weekend in fine style. And behind him we've got them 3 wide going into the hairpin. Have a look at the top of the shot. There's a real skirmish going on, out of which Corey Paget will just emerge. But downhill into paddock, Luke Constantine it is that's the race leader. What's going on for third? Ben Sayer, in fact, is up into third place now. He has jokered, so there he is. Sayer up to third once more. Fourth, Max Watt. Fifth, Owen Robbins. They have yet to joker as the leaders go by. This time Owen Robbins just darts out of the shot in the blue car. He goes for the joker lap. So it is currently Luke Constantine leading the way by 0.6 of a second. Now neither of those have jokered, and behind them is Ben Sayer, who has. Now if he can really, really push, now pretend this was like a dummy qualifying session, bring down that gap, could he inherit the race lead when the top 2 joker? That's got to be the mission now for him. He's not having to defend from behind, he's not squabbling with anybody, so he's not having to think about defending or attacking. He can just drive his race, drive his lines, whereas up front Constantine is still trying to make sure that Ovenden is behind. There's the danger man, 77 then Ben Sayer. For MacArthur, comes downhill, uses all of that concrete on the outside, tries to get as much width of the road as he can as he dances the car across the loose. There are the leaders up the road, and it's leader singular because Constantine now takes the advantage. Ovenden goes for the joker. Now what can Ben Sayer do? Have a look in the background, wait to see whether it's going to be red or white. It is red, so Tom Ovenden hangs on to second place. Third is Ben Sayer. He doesn't gain therefore on the joker lap as we were at lap 4 out of the 6 now. But what about this man? Now Luke Constantine has a similar situation to Ben Sayer. Drive your own lap. Don't defend, just attack, attack, attack. Don't make mistakes. And in theory, that should keep him ahead once he jokers. He's only got 2 more to go, of course, as he comes downhill. Makes the run in towards paddock. So now the Constantine Motorsport car up front bounces its way over that loose section through the chicane, trying to avoid the curb if you can. Don't use too much because that's been acting as a ramp really and launching people as to the joker lap goes the race leader. Where is Tom Ovenden? There he is. Is he going to get the lead back here on the joker? It's going to be close. He has got the power down as back over the jump. There is Constantine. They're going to be side by side. Constantine has just got his nose in front. He will also have the inside line for the Devil's Elbow on the tarmac. So a really good move that has just kept him ahead. But Ovenden is right there behind him with 1 more lap to run at the end of this. He's certainly not given up, that's for sure. Climb the hill, nose to tail. Ben Sayer still there in third place, looking to try to close if he can as Ovenden dives to the inside line. Contact between the 2. Constantine just ahead, but he's on the outside line. Ovenden doesn't really force the issue, perhaps realising that if he had, he might have got a penalty, so he backs off. Attacks again later in the race, maybe. Into paddock they come, still nose to tail. Ovenden, arguably the quicker of the 2, but the cork in the bottle is Constantine. He's doing a good job of defending as they drop to the loose once again. And is Ovenden going to be able to find a gap? Let's see. Can't afford afford to do anything overly heroic necessarily there, because if it's slippy on the outside line, you'll drift out, lose momentum, possibly lose too much time. So where does he make the move? Ideally, it's going to be on the tarmac. Down to the devil's elbow. Ovenden closes up once more under braking. Through that left-hander they turn. The climb up Hairy Hill. Now this is where Ovenden made his dive bomb move a lap ago. Is he close enough this time to think about it? Brakes as late as he can, and Constantine covers off the inside line. Ovenden tries to prise open the door with only really the run downhill, and then paddock to the chicane to go. Inside line covered off by Constantine. It looks like it's going to be a race win for him. Across the loose they come. Checker flag is at the ready, and so it is going to be a race win for Luke Constantine, who comes across the line just ahead of Tom Ovenden, nose to tail as they broke the beam. A tenth of a second between the two. Third going the way of Ben Sayer. In fourth place it is Caitlin May ahead of Owen Robbins, and then Corey Paget on the last lap ahead of Max Watt. So Caitlin May, first time out, having a very good run for fourth place, but a really good drive that by the car of Luke Constantine. Comes home as the race winner, does Luke. A tenth of a second the margin. Luke Constantine wins the second round of the Junior Rallycross Championship ahead of Tom Ovenden, and Ben Sayer comes home in third.
It's tough. I did everything right off the start. I squeezed him out because he got round the outside of me in the third heat. I thought, right, okay, I need to drive, and then he got really close to coming down the hill. I thought I'll just defend, nice and slow on the inside, and he just came around the outside, and I wasn't expecting it at all. It was a great move by him.
I told you, some of these categories that we've got here at Lydden, so many drivers frustrated that they can't compete. So European Rallycross is here and competing in this Super 1600 category.
Super 1600 final here at Lydden Hill for round 2 of the Five Nations Rallycross Trophy. It is Yuri Beleski on pole position, 43. Alongside is Kobe Pauwels, son of Koen Pauwels, regular Belgian and indeed European and Lydden regular over the years. Championship leader Robert Svitolz lines up on the outside of row 1, and Darren Scott, his championship rival, is alone on the second row. Now, across the heats, we've had these cars running with the SUPERNATIONALS, a busy grid, good racing, but for championship points for the finals, they're split apart. So it's only the 4, but those 2 Bolland Racing Audi A1s have been very quick so far today. 6 laps for the final is go. Good start by Beleski, good start by Vitolz in the rather aging Peugeot on the outside line as they plunge down towards Chester's Stand for the first time. Vitolz goes for the joker lap, and Yuri Beleski it is that leads the pack. Kobe Pauwels new to Lydden, and he's done precious little rallycrossing, but he has got his sights on a European Super 1600 campaign for next year, so the tuition starts right now. Darren Scott there in third, but the Audis are together as there for the inside line goes. Pauwels has a look up the inside, can't do it. Gets a face full of Beleski, who fends him off. Climb the hill. Kobe Pauwels, his father Koen watching on as his spotter, and will be guiding his son, 16 years of age, around the lap. But right now Darren Scott, the best of the Brits, trying to stay with them as they drop down the hill. Robert Svitolz then, he got the joker out of the way, hoping now that if they swerve or delay each other up front, that will play back into his hands as the leaders come once more then through paddock out of the chicane. Yuri Beleski clambers up onto the curb in second place, then Kobe Pauwels going with him, and he's got the pace to stay there seemingly. Darren Scott is third, and then Robert Svitolz in fourth. Is he going to close to the eye? The answer is yes, he is inching up onto the back of the pack. Darren Scott goes through then there with the Citroën C2, and Robert Svitolz with the Peugeot 206 then behind him, but for the overall race lead, not necessarily for championship points, but a great lead battle it is. Kobe Pauwels right there on the back of Yuri Beleski, closing right up then as they turn their way through the North Bend hairpin. Touch of understeer maybe from Beleski. Does that give Pauwels a chance to challenge on the run downhill? Absolutely nose to tail. The 2 Bolland Racing run cars as one bounce their way out of the chicane, and this time it's Pauwels who goes for the joker lap. The car entered by his father, Koen Pauwels, rather than Bolland Racing, but it's operated by the Bolland team, and so now Pauwels will stay ahead of Vitolz as he comes back onto the loose, but that's Yuri Beleski, who now seems to have a much, much bigger gap. Well, he does, but only temporarily, because he has got to joker. Vitol's then. Joker first. He's got himself ahead of Darren Scott on the Joker lap, so we have had a reversal there, but significantly, Kirby Pauwels is ahead as we work now. Lap number 3, heading through the hairpin. That's the race leader. Yuri Belewski plunges downhill once more. The Bottom Racing Audi comes into the right-hand paddock. Belewski hard at work, trips the curb, throws the car down the road into Chessons. Kirby Pauwels is currently 3.2 seconds behind as the cars now accelerate their way up to the tarmac again. Darren Scott at the back of the pack going after Robert Vitol's, thinking of course of British Championship points here. So there, Yuri Belewski leads the way. Now 3.2 seconds is the margin. Has he got 3 seconds to do the Joker lap as well? What's the gap relative to the time you lose by circling the Joker? We will find out very shortly. Equally, what can Pauwels do about bringing down that gap, because he needs to be as close as he can to buy back an advantage when the race leader there, Yuri Belewski, serves the Joker. Darren Scott into paddock, but he's not really going at the pace needed to close on Vitol's. Everybody now, barring the leader, has jokered, and that means that Yuri Belewski is going to have to do it at the start of the last lap. He'll get the board next time. There is Kirby Pauwels. The gap has come down, but only by half a tenth or so. So he is closing a little, but I'm not sure it's going to be enough to put him ahead after Belewski has served that Joker. We'll find out, because as the cars now make the run out of the hairpin for the penultimate time, there is the race leader. Yuri Belewski drops downhill once again. Turns his way across the loose section with Kirby Pauwels in the background. There's the last lap board, which is now shown to the race leader Yuri Belewski. He goes for the Joker. Now this is where Kirby Pauwels has got to be so quick, so precise. It's going to be close between the two of them, and he's got the inside line, and he's got the race lead as well. So Kirby Pauwels has done it. Through he goes there. The Belgian driver comes out up front. So Belewski stayed out till the bitter end, but it has unravelled away from him. And Kirby Pauwels, his first go at Lydden, his first time in European Super 1600 spec cars, he's going to come out with a fairy tale result, barring a mistake, because he leads the way, and you can see the gap that he's pulled as well. So Pauwels it is up front, and whether it's dad or lad, the Pauwels dynasty at Lydden has always been good and successful, and we are in for another chapter of it. Down towards paddock there, Kirby Pauwels turns into the right, into the chicane, now checkered flag at the ready, and it is a win for Kirby Pauwels then. Across the line he comes, ahead of Yuri Belewski. The gap 11/10 of a second. Robert Vitol's takes third ahead of Darren Scott to therefore extend his advantage within the British Championship. But a really good drive that by Kirby Pauwels to come through to score the race win by just over a second. Kirby Pauwels victorious from, in second place, Yuri Belewski. Third goes the way of Robert Vitol's, and Darren Scott comes home fourth. So Kirby Pauwels out of karting, now into Rallycross. Fairy tale debut. It's a race win in the final for the Super 1600s here in round 2 of the Five Nations Rallycross Trophy at Lydden Hill.
He turns up and he conquers.
Yeah, first race in Super 1600, second day in the car and immediately a win. Yeah, it's fantastic.
And not been here before.
No, just when I was a small kid watching my father, first time here, first time racing. It's just an amazing feeling.
Well done.
Thank you.
Round 2 then here at Lydden Hill, and let's just see this next category, and let's see how this young lady, Ms. BELLERBY, gets on out on track. I suspect we're in for quite a race.
The Supernational final here for day 1 at Lydden of this December doubleheader. Guy Corner, new engine in the car, much more drivable even though less horsepower. He's on pole. Jason Bleasdale alongside Slavomir Volok on the outside of the BMW. Row 2, Paige Bellerby and Magic Floshak as we get set for the lights to go green to release the cars. We go racing. Who makes the best start? Good getaway by Jason Bleasdale. The jet ski champ is away nicely. It's been a tough day at the office for Paige Bellerby. She goes second behind Guy Corner. So So this different, less powerful but more drivable engine in the car has absolutely transformed it today, and Guy Corner has looked very, very quick indeed. But is he going to be quick enough when it counts? Paige Bellamy does the chasing. Slavomir Volok is third as they come onto the tarmac then, with losing a bit of ground Jason Bleasdale because he's jokered, and also the rather more standard spec Citroën Saxo in the hands of Magic Florshack also has jokered as the cars climb the hill for the first time. Big lock-up from Slavomir Volok's very spectacular looking and driven BMW. What can he do about Paige Bellamy? Guy Corner gets away then as the car drops downhill, turns right, heading for the Lucent paddock. Paige Bellamy in second spot and having to go defensive to keep that mighty BMW at bay as they bounce out of the chicane. So Slavomir Volok, the UK-based Pole, there in third, and Guy Corner, the man from North Allerton up near Croft, leads the pack. The Lotus EXIGE 1-2 at the moment. The BMW M3 in third place with that enormous rear wing hanging off the back of the car as Paige Bellamy lines up to have a go for the race lead, going into the Devil's Elbow, but no, Guy Corner hangs on to position. Through the left-hander they go, climb the hill now. Bellamy tries to think about a move on the inside line, but now that Corner's going defensive, is this going to unravel in terms of lap times relative to the Joker? As they come down towards paddock, the two Lotuses there, 1 and 2. It's still Volok in third, and then in fourth place, trying to play catch-up, is Jason Bleasdale in the Vauxhall VX220. Now, Slavomir Volok goes for the Joker. The two Lotuses come through together, but Bleasdale's going to inherit a place on the Joker, so the Vauxhall in the background of this little lead battle will move ahead of the BMW and Volok. The top two absolutely as one then as they dive into the Devil's Elbow, but behind them is the real danger. Jason Bleasdale now is catching. Head uphill, brake hard into the hairpin. Guy Corner goes out a little bit wide. Is that Paige Bellamy's chance to attack? For so many years, Supernational dominated by Tristan Upwood's Clio V6. It's got a very different look to it this year as the cars drop into the right at paddock. So Guy Corner is ahead, but under huge pressure from Paige Bellamy. Another lap completed. Start lap 4 now, as there at the rear of the order is Magic Florshack with the Citroën. Polish driver battles on, although it's a rather more standard spec car compared to these rather more modified Lotus EXIGEs that rule the roost up front. Paige Bellamy closing under braking for the Devil's Elbow. Guy Corner goes out a little bit wide. Is that going to compromise the run up the hill? It's a really steep climb. Yes, it does compromise it. Bellamy goes for the inside. Can Paige go through? Not there, she can't, but not for the one trying. Guy Corner runs out wide, and now we do get the lead change. Through goes Bellamy, and Guy Corner too deep into the hairpin. Runs out wide, but not only that, look who is almost with them in third place, Jason Bleasdale then, that Joker right at the very start has benefited from all of the battles, and he's almost there, ready to strike. Guy Corner goes for the Joker this time around, so Paige Bellamy leads now. Jason Bleasdale is going to be up into second. We've had 1 or 2 surprising results thus far today, and indeed in the August event in the British Rallycross Championship. We could be on for another one here as well, because the way that he's going suggests that Jason Bleasdale might, indeed should, be able to take over the advantage on the Joker, because right now he is 2 seconds away from Bellamy. That should be enough to get the advantage. Downhill comes Paige with the Vauxhall chasing on behind then. So Jason Bleasdale, the transportation back Vauxhall, flicks onto the loose section. There is Paige Bellamy, who's got to go for the Joker this time. She does indeed, although the car a bit sideways, and it's still fishtailing as it goes down towards the Joker lap section. And while she corrects it, Jason Bleasdale's going to get the race lead. What about second? There is Paige Bellamy over the jump. She's going to hang on to second place though, but only just ahead of Guy Corner. But Bleasdale's away and gone, so he's on target for a maiden win, which will be a really good result, and dare one say a surprising result, but very well earned. Jason Bleasdale climbs the hill for the last time. Checker flag being made ready, second and third, the two drivers that dominated the bulk of the race, but Paige Bellamy stayed ahead of Guy Corner on that Joker lap, and so Guy Corner, that led the first half of the race, is going to end up third, down towards paddock for the last time. Jason Bleasdale is on target for the race win. Here he comes, checker flag at the ready. Jason Bleasdale wins the Supernational final. Paige Bellamy takes second, Guy Corner takes third, Slavomir Volok will be fourth, and some way back is Magic Florshack with the Citroën. But a great drive that by Jason Bleasdale, and it shows again if you can get track position to Joker early, get it out of the way, and be at the head of that queue if anybody else jokers on the first lap. If you can be the first one to do it, that does set you up really well for the duration of the race. So well done indeed. Jason Bleasdale, a maiden win in the Super National class of the British Rallycross Championship, ahead of Paige Bellerby and Guy Corner, locking out the top three.
Well, I thought she got you there.
Oh, she's quick. She's quick in that Lotus, but I knew doing the Joker first lap, I would just get my head down in clear track and just try and catch up to the back of them. And I seen her battling with Guy, and I knew that was costing her time, and luckily it did. And so I think I had plenty of time when she was coming into the Joker. I just took it nice and easy, and it was a good race.
Brilliant. Yeah. No, very good. Was that the right decision, do you think, to go so early for the Joker?
Yeah, definitely, 100%. Just get it out the way, and then you've got a good 5 laps. Just head down clear track.
Yeah. So that's where she made the mistake tactically then.
Maybe so. Maybe it was her starting position on the grid. She had no choice but to go with the standard lap, and I knew I had the choice. It was in my hands if I got the start, and I got the start. So I said to my spotter, I said, if I get the start, I'm going Joker straight up. And he was like, I think you're right. And luckily it did play it off.
See, drama aplenty and results you weren't expecting.
The grid is formed for the RX 150 final here at Lydden Hill, day 1 of 2 for this December doubleheader event within the Five Nations Rallycross competition. And Patrick O'Donovan has had a very good debut day in RX 150s, and he is the man that lines up on pole position. 81, Chris Hoy, cycling legend, no mean racing driver himself, is on the middle of row 1. Jessica Hawkins on the outside of the front row, number 53. The second row, 89, Jake Harris driving today, brother Brett tomorrow. 19, championship leader Steve Jones for company. And then the third row, newcomer Duncan Cowper. In number 6, Ewan McGuinness, son of John McGuinness, who's been here in supercar action today on the middle of that row. And then Billy Alexander is not there. He should be, but he's not there for the last place on the grid. So a non-starter is 82 Billy Alexander, but he would have been the 8th of the 8. The grid is formed. It's 6 laps for the RX 150 final, and we are just about good to go. Patrick O'Donovan then defecting from juniors to RX 150s and doing a very, very good job thus far. So is he going to have a final victory as well? Let's find out. We're ready to race, and a jump start by Jess Hawkins. She went when the ready to race light went out, didn't wait for the green, and will be put back into place, and the penalty may well come as a consequence of that. So a false start. She was the only one that moved, in fairness, so the other drivers making sure that their cars are exactly where they need to be. And Jess Hawkins will be given the message about being the cause of that false start, and we'll have to try all over again. So everybody is good to go, I think, just about, for the second attempt. And there should, as I say, be a penalty board to be shown to the culprit, namely Jess Hawkins. And there is the board which says 2 joker laps. So Jess Hawkins gets the message. So the penalty for a false start, a double joker, and that instantly puts her on the back foot. We had it from Julian Godfrey in a supercar semi-final earlier on in the day. Ready to race light is on, and the drivers now accelerate away. And actually Jess Hawkins makes a really, really good start from the outside of the front row, and she knows she's got to get on with the programme here in 6 laps and 2 jokers. So she leads from POD, Patrick O'Donovan in second place. Both of them absolutely as one then as they go across the loose for the first time. Championship leader Steve Jones runs third as these RX 150s hop their way across the loose, heading towards tarmac once more. But Jess Hawkins leads us to the outside line. For third place goes Jake Harris. Is he going to be able to get through? The answer is no. Steve Jones fends him off. So Jess Hawkins leads, but can she build a gap over Patrick O'Donovan to consolidate after 1 joker? Even that's going to be tough, never mind 2. All she can do now is to see what pans out, because you've got dramas at the top of the hill. I think Steve Jones has come to a halt on the racing line. So the championship leader looks like he stopped at the hairpin. We'll see a yellow flag, I'm sure, up there. We might even get a stoppage if the car doesn't move. So the leaders go by. Jess Hawkins then goes joker. Patrick O'Donovan takes over the race lead. There he is. coming across the loose section of the circuit. But at the top of the hill, the car stranded is that of, no, not Steve Jones, to tell you a lie, Duncan Cowper, and we do have a red flag. The race is being stopped, no choice, because that car is on the apex for the hairpin. So the red flag comes out on lap 2. So if it's a complete restart, that's going to help Jessica Hawkins, isn't it? Or will she still have to carry her 2 joker laps into a restarted race? But anyway, Duncan Cowper is the cause of the interruption. And that car will need to be removed. So the race is stopped. We'll have a restart shortly. If Jess Hawkins comes out with a win here, she owes Duncan Cowper a big drink, because his triggering the red flag has given her the get-out-of-jail-free card, in a sense. Right, we're ready to go. Don't blow it this time, Jess, by creeping at the start. Let's see. It's still 6 laps. And it's go. Not as good a start, though, this time. Good getaway is made by Jake Harris in 89, but it's going to be Patrick O'Donovan that leads, and a bit of leaning, in fact, going on there as Chris Hoy went for the joker lap and almost swiped Jessica Hawkins with him, and in fact Jessica's got problems. Her car has picked up damage and will not turn. It's on the grass on the outside of the joker and is out of the race. So can you believe it? A restart, but now her car picked up a bit of damage and is an early retirement from a race that she had a real chance of winning. So Patrick O'Donovan leads the way as the cars climb the mountain for the first time up towards the hairpin. In second place, by the look of it, it's going to be Stephen Jones, and they will drop downhill with Jake Harris third. But as I say, it's Chris Hoy darting to the joker and kind of taking Jess Hawkins with him that's triggered the damage and put her out of the race. As Patrick O'Donovan, they see what I mean about the Nerf bar in front of it, leads the way. Second is Jones, third, leaping over the curb, is Harris. But if you do that too spectacularly, as you've just seen, it compromises you all the way down to the joker, fishtail your way down to that section of the circuit. Up there comes Steve Jones then, and we've also got a spin for Ewan McGuinness now down on the loose at Chessons. So as Patrick O'Donovan as the leader turns his way out of the Devil's Elbow, they are falling like flies in this, either with terminal problems or interruptions to their races. But actually the lead gap's coming down, isn't it? Stephen Jones is letting everybody else have problems, and he's getting on with it. He's probably the most experienced RX 150 pilot there is on the grid these days, and he's hunting down the leader as they come towards the loose section once again then. So the leading car is that of O'Donovan. Further back, the fight's on for third, where Jake Harris there is being given a hard time coming out of the chicane by Chris Hoy. Now, does that put Hoy as the best of those that have jokered? No, Harris has jokered as well, so that's the battle for top joker for the minute, as Steve Jones then down the Dover slope chases after Patrick O'Donovan. The gap starting this lap was just over a second as they make the climb up the hill once more. So the championship leader, Steve Jones, going after somebody who is going to be a real factor for the championship given his pace today. Patrick O'Donovan, there he is. Dan Orley has always been a prime mover in the RX 150 category, and as he comes downhill towards paddock, Stephen Jones with a lock-up throws the car sideways, scrubs off a little bit of speed, possibly a bit of momentum as well, as 3 laps now go into the book. O'Donovan goes through, making this look relatively straightforward thus far, because Jones just can't get close enough to attack, can he? So through they turn once more. And there, number 13, Patrick O'Donovan, sprinting his way uphill once again. Now, the advantage he had last time around was just over a second. It's Jones second, and they're third and fourth. Harris ahead of Hoy. So Chris Hoy, who was in a supercar here in August, now attacks Rallycross in an RX 150. And as you would expect, gives a good account of himself. Going through the back, he just saw Ewan McGuinness in 5th place, as there, bouncing over the curb, goes the car in the hands of leader Patrick O'Donovan. Now, what's his advantage over Steve Jones? It's virtually doubled to 2 seconds now. So as the cars come through onto the loose once more and then back onto tarmac, O'Donovan works lap 5 out of 6 and he's pretty much away and gone. However, he's got to joker. He's going to do that on the last lap. So what he's been concentrating on is just pushing and pushing and pushing and building that gap. So he has the advantage then as the cars make the climb up the hill for second and third. He's already on his way downhill, heading towards paddock. Through the right, onto the loose. Last lap board goes out for him. Jake Harris in third, fending off the challenge of Chris Hoy, who actually has never really got quite close enough to have a proper go here. Through the Joker lap, he's going O'Donovan there, and he's going to stay ahead, yes, comfortably, of Steve Jones. So brilliant debut in RX 150s this for Patrick O'Donovan. Steve Jones chases on in second place. There, Jake Harris for third, gives up the car for brother Brett for tomorrow. So he wants to go out with a notional podium here. And then in fourth place, Chris Hoy, as Patrick O'Donovan makes the climb up towards the hairpin. Goes through the right-hander now, onto the power. Downhill, checker flag awaits. Might even have to think about some lappery because Ewan McGuinness ain't that far on the road. Yes, he will escape being like Ewan McGuinness, but he's a long way adrift. So, checker flag at the ready, and Patrick O'Donovan wins. First time out in RX 150s. He wins the final. Second goes the way of Steve Jones, the championship leader, to extend the advantage. Then you've got Jake Harris for third, and Chris Hoy takes fourth. And then virtually a lap behind is going to be Ewan McGuinness in fifth place. And oddly, Duncan Cowper classified sixth and Jessica Hawkins seventh, even though she got into the restart. He didn't, so I'm not quite sure why that should be the case. But Jessica Hawkins, very unlucky, as I say. There was that little kerfuffle going down towards the Joker on the first lap, and that did damage to her car and put her out of the race. But as Ewan McGuinness heads towards the checker flag and fifth, Patrick O'Donovan's first outing in an RX 150 gives him victory in the final. Brilliant drive, well done, Patrick O'Donovan. And suddenly the opposition in RX 150s has a new name to contend with, because O'Donovan is going to be one to watch for the rest of the season. That next round, of course, coming up here at Lydden tomorrow.
Where did you finish in that race?
I think first. I hope first.
Oh, did you win?
Yeah. I mean, I hope I'm not celebrating second place. No, it was good. With the restart, I was worried a little bit about fuel, but I was quite happy because obviously Jess got the start on me in the first one, and then I had a bit of a moment in turn one. But no, I was just happy. I was just pulling gears, like counting down the laps, like come on, let's do it. But I'm over the moon.
Right. So now you need to talk to your father about getting in a supercar, because it's time.
He's actually just over there, but I think I think any time I've ever kind of arose the situation or asked the question, I think he's kind of just like, go away.
Well done, boy.
Thank you.
The line, well done. Thank you.
Is he a proud daddy?
Absolutely, over the moon, yeah. I mean, it's his first time in the buggy in the track, and he drove it very well all day, in all fairness, you know, so delighted. Couldn't do any better. Delighted.
Look at the little pride on their faces, look at that. Well done, guys, thank you very much. Brilliant, well done. Who'd have thought it? Patrick Donovan on his debut in these buggies, and he wins the race against all that experience out there. You have to take your hat off to the lad, don't you?
James Constantine, the championship leader, lining up alongside on the middle of the front row, and then 115, which is James Phillips, on the outside of row one, and he has looked good earlier on in the day to be quickest in Q2. Treble 2 is on the second row of the grid, that being James Chisman in the Travel Masters car, and then number 9 of Don McLeod with 62 Phil Chicken completing the grid. That is how they line up then. It is a 6-lap final, and Tom Constantine, junior champion, is perhaps the man to beat, but he has been beaten. As we saw in August, it was honours for James Constantine. James Phillips has been quick across earlier races. Indeed, he topped, as I say, Q2. So let's see what he can do here as the drivers get the ready to race light. The natural light is fading fast at Lydden, but we go racing, and a good start by Phillips. Not a great start by James Constantine. James Chisman gets rather boxed in there, in fact, as the cars go down towards Chesson's Drift for the first time. The only one that jokers is Don McLeod, and the one that is going to lead is Tom Constantine. James C is behind him, James Phillips to the outside line, and then James Chisman is in fourth in the bright yellow car. But across the loose they dance for the first time, and hard on the brakes, going into the devil's elbow. Then number 7 leads the pack. Tom Constantine goes through with all of the available width of the road being exploited there as they make the climb up the hill. James Phillips then trying to find a way past James Constantine before Tom C builds up the gap. Out of the hairpin they come, ready to drop downhill. There is Tom Constantine, the leader. 2 or 3 lengths clear already, as you see 62 Phil Chicken doing his best in the Mike Boat prepared car to go after James Chisman, dropping down towards paddock. Across the loose though comes the Constantine family, the cousins. Tom ahead of James, 3rd is James Phillips, their 4th is James Chisman. Phil Chicken is 5th and Don McLeod 6th. There's now Chisman Jokers, gets that out of the way, so Chicken moves up 1 place. And Tom Constantine's advantage at the end of the opening lap, 0.6 of a second, but it's James Phillips in 3rd, starting to drop back a little bit now. He looked really good earlier on in the day in qualifying, but when it counts, seemingly he is falling away from the Constantine family up front as Tom leads James as they make the climb now up the hill once more. Heading into the North Bend hairpin at the top of the Harry Hill section of the circuit. Downhill they come then. Is it going to be 1-1 between Tom and James? Then at the end of the day, there's another round of the championship tomorrow, of course, to focus on as well. James Constantine has certainly not given up, has he? He's not settling for 2nd. Tom Constantine heads up across the loose. James is 2nd, and then James Phillips runs 3rd, and the leading joker is 5th at the moment. That is James Chisman, as now to the joker lap goes out of 3rd place James Phillips. Is that going to help or hinder him in the outcome? Let's see. For the moment, Phil Chicken will go ahead of him, and rejoining as the best of the jokers, James Phillips then in 4th place ahead of James Chisman. So it's now a straight fight for the moment between the Constantines. There they are. 7, which is Tom, leads the way. At the back of the pack is number 9 there, Don McLeod. So the border force officer goes into the left at the Devil's Elbow, makes the climb up the hill as the 2 leaders to the eye, a little bit nearer maybe under braking that time was James Constantine. Makes the run downhill once again here. Turns his way through the right-hander of paddock across the loose section, which has got drier and faster as the road has improved throughout the day. Got an overnight and early morning rain, made it really treacherous. It's still quite slippy offline if you go onto the loose, but it's certainly not as bad as it was at the start of the day. And incidents have been less as the road has improved and the traction has come back to them. So there you've got the top 2. And we're currently on lap number 4 of the 6, and none of the top 3 have jokered as yet. But I still think that the Constantines are going to be good. Depends who jokers when. If they joker together, it's going to be the same outcome, isn't it? But if it's going to be that they joker on different laps, maybe James has a chance. He should have, I would have thought by now, got that out of the way to see whether he can salvage anything with clear road ahead of him. But right now, staring at the back of Tom Constantine's car, they come down the hill once more into paddock. There is the fight to be the leading joker driver thus far. James Phillips ahead of James Chisman. Down they go into paddock, and Phillips then coming under attack as he goes just a little bit deep into the corner, sprinting his way now through the chicane up towards the timing line. Up front, James Constantine has jokered, so there is Tom on his own, and James rejoins in 2nd place, then stays ahead of the Phillips-Chisman battle by some margin as well. So the Constantines well clear right now. In fact, if anything, Phillips is being delayed by having to defend from Chisman, and there Tom Constantine makes the run up into the hairpin once again. He should have enough in hand now to hang on to the advantage, but Chisman is all over Phillips like a rash, isn't he? And he makes his move and he goes through, in fact climbing the hill. So James Phillips' pace, oddly, has ebbed away rather than improving as the day has worn on here. They come now out of the North Bend hairpin as the last lap board is being prepared for Tom Constantine. There behind him, going through, James Constantine in 2nd place. Tom has to joker. There he is on that joker lap already. He gets into the slower section now, that right left and then over the jump, but he's well clear up front, and there's fire in fact coming from underneath a car further back, which by the look of it might be James Phillips, and that would, there he is parking the car. That would explain perhaps why the pace has dropped away, because he's got a problem, and there was a big flash of flame I saw from underneath it as he went over the line. He's parked the car on this last lap, so James Phillips, sadly, is going to be a retirement. Tom Constantine is going to be the race winner unless he makes a mistake right at the very end, because he comes now down the hill. So Tom Constantine looks as though he is set for a race win. He turns his way into paddock. The checker flag is at the ready. James Constantine, his cousin, is right there behind him, but where Swifts are concerned, the Constantine name reigns once more. Tom wins then round 2 of the championship from James Constantine in 2nd place. 3rd goes the way of James Chisman. 4th will be Phil Chicken, and a rather distant 5th, Don McLeod, and that is the reason for all the drama down at turn 1, and it is James Phillips' rather hot and bothered car, and oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, is that therefore staring at not being able to take part tomorrow? Let's hope that's not the case.
It takes you back, doesn't it, to the sort of John Taylor days, the Hopkins, those cars that were the originals in British Rallycross, the stalwarts of the championship. Well, they're still here, the retros, and let me tell you, they still entertain.
For the retro final here for round 2 of the championship at Lydden, Steve Cousins lines up on pole position. With him at the front of the grid is Tony Lynch with the Toyota MR2, and then Rob Buckmaster's Fiesta XR2 on the outside of the front row. The second row, Simon Hart's John Taylor, Haynes and Maidstone Tribute Escort, and Mark Finch with the Fiesta. The lights get a green, we go racing, and a good getaway by Tony Lynch propels him into the race lead. Or does it? Steve Cousins fights back as they go up through the gears, and it's going to be Cousins ahead as they get onto the loose for the first time. Steve Cousins then in the ex-Dan Rook Citroën AX leads the way. Tony Lynch with this Toyota MR2, former Scottish rally car, made into a rallycrosser, and Mark Finch, who retired from Q1, but going nicely right now. He's into 3rd place ahead of the older shape Fiesta, the Mark II shape, in the hands of Rob Buckmaster with the Mark I Escort, the road-registered car, still used on the road by Simon Hart, the Tory councillor. He's in 5th place as up towards the North Bend hairpin goes Steve Cousins, and right now he's getting away from Tony Lynch. They battled together in the earlier Q3 race, but right now that Citroën is absolutely fleeing, isn't it? As Steve Cousins, for the first of 6 times, plunges down towards Paddock, comes into the right-hander, hits the loose with a very sideways Lynch behind him. Steve Cousins, an experienced rallycross campaigner, goes through with Lynch clambering up the curbs. The forward battle here, Fiesta Mark II versus Escort Mark I. Rob Buckmaster ahead of Simon Hart, and of course, just to make the point as ever in a retro or super retro rallycross race, they don't do joker laps because they weren't around when these cars were in period, so you don't do them now either. And up towards the Devil's Elbow goes Steve Cousins, then the race leader on that 2 out of the 6, trying to get away, trying to build that advantage all the while as the car behind of Tony Lynch chases on, but the gap widening perhaps just a little bit further, 0.8 of a second at the start of the lap. The lonely one in 3rd is Mark Finch, but the good news is that he's keeping out of trouble for the moment. That car has had its occasional days of unreliability, but right now it's doing a pretty decent job hanging on in there in that 3rd spot as the cars come down the hill. As you see Rob Buckmaster fending off Simon Hart's Mark I Escort into Paddock. They come with the Escort getting closer all the time, and it's certainly close right out for the leader all of a sudden. Tony Lynch fighting the car that wants to get away from him at every opportunity, but he's brought the gap right down then. And Tony, who's rallied both as a driver and a co-driver, he's been very successful in different classes across rallycross over the years. The man from West Horton near Bolton comes now at the Devil's Elbow on the back of Steve Cousins as we work lap 3 of 5. In fact, the timing screen has been set to for the final. So 5 laps it is, and this lap 3 as the cars turn their way out, set to drop down the hill, with actually now Steve Cousins recovering. He's getting away once more, is he not? So whatever was going on earlier to cause him to be caught by Tony Lynch, it might just be Tony's late braking, then gets him into strife again there, but by getting all crossed up going through the paddock approach. It happens again under braking for Chestnut as they've got Simon Hart going through, hanging on to the tail of Rob Buckmaster's Fiesta. Here's for the race lead. Tony Lynch getting ever more committed about this on lap 4, 1 to go at the end of this. The MR2 from a very long track it is from the northwest of England down to Lydden, but Tony Lynch maximising his track time with his double-header weekend, makes the climb up the hill. Steve Cousins able to fend him off for the moment, turns now into the right at the top of the hill. He'll drop down towards Paddock with Lynch clambering all over the back of him as best he can. But Steve Cousins, despite the odd wisp of smoke possibly coming out of the back of that Citroën, there it is again as he changes down. He's still looking strong up front. The last lap board is there and ready. Over the timing line, they will come with a lap to go. Can Lynch force the mistake out of Steve Cousins? He does keep applying pressure, but if anyone cracks, it's Lynch himself, because he's getting all sideways once more as he brakes for Chestnut. And there he is coming through. The forward battle is also still going the way of Rob Buckmaster, some way back, but looks as though Cousins again, just being neater and tidier, drives away from Tony Lynch, who brakes oh so late going into the Devil's Elbow. Out of that left-hander, climb the hill now up towards the right of the hairpin. So Steve Cousins, who came into this weekend with, of course, a very good start to his season. He won here in August ahead of Tony Lynch, and he looks like he's going to do it again. Mark Finch, 5th in August, set for 3rd place today, and the checkered flag is at the ready, and it is going to be a race win for Steve Cousins. 2 out of 2 for him ahead of Tony Lynch in 2nd place. And then, am I right in saying that Mark Finch is going to be 3rd, because the Fiesta has suddenly gone a-missing? Where has it ended up? Oh, it's on the loose at Chessons, out of the race. So he's had a spin, possibly with a failure, on the last lap. So now this fight is for 3rd, and Rob Buckmaster takes it from Simon Hart with Mark Finch, I spoke too soon, on the last lap. There he is, out of the race. So he had a problem in Q1. It's hit again in the final. He's not had a day of fortune, that is for sure, poor old Mark. Hopefully that car can be made good for tomorrow. So Mark Finch then out of the race, but it is a win for that man. Steve Cousins comes out on top. Tony Lynch for the 2nd time this year, his runner-up. Rob Buckmaster finishing 3rd, but it's 2 out of 2 in Retro Rallycross this year for Steve Cousins.
Obviously, Mr. Cousins, who actually won the race, he's been used to that car for a couple of years, and we're just developing. We're getting closer and closer, as you probably saw. It is getting closer, so hopefully, fingers crossed, maybe tomorrow this time, you know, we should be. We're learning every race, not every meeting, but every race.
Well, we promised you action in this programme, and we're getting plenty of it, aren't we? It is very different out there, because this is Lydden in the winter, and we've never had really a winter rallycross series. So everybody is very new to it all. And as you can see, the action out on track is probably a little bit more dramatic than maybe we see in the summer.
The Super Retro final is about to get underway. We've got one car being retrieved from the Retro final that we've just had, won by Steve Cousins. It's Mark Finch's Fiesta that is being collected at the moment. And there it is. So hopefully that car can be made good for tomorrow. This grid is going to be one car light. Phil Collard's Renault 5 Turbo has broken a gearbox. So that, sad to say, is not going to be on the grid. But the rest of our Super Retro Rallycross contingent are there present and correct. Nigel Davey, 691, is on pole position with the Peugeot 205. He's had a good day thus far. Vince Bristow's always sideways BMW, middle of the front row, and the white escort of a great stalwart and ambassador for Rallycross, Ray Morgan, on the outside of row 1. The 2nd row, Gary Simpson's purple BMW, and the Lancia Stratos with a VW engine, John Cross's car. And then the 3rd row, Paul Pascoe in the Ford. Sorry, I should say it's Steve Pascoe in the Escort, first of all, in 175, and then it is 174 Paul Pascoe in the Sierra Cosworth, genuine Sierra Cosworth, that, alongside the Mark 5 Escort. Steve Pascoe, quick word about the veteran, 75 years of age, still competing. He has been on oval races, he's been a rallycrosser for many, many years, competed in the UK and Ireland as well, where he's been domiciled for a while, but it's good to have him back. And there, the story of Mark Finch's car with a wheel hanging off, so a breakage putting him out of the race. Whether he hit something or whether it was a failure, we know not, but the net result is, I'm afraid, that that's going to need some TLC before tomorrow, when there will be round 3 of the Five Nations Rallycross Trophy. Now, where does that car go to out of harm's way? Does it then have to wait for a low loader, or are we going to be able to get the action underway? The Super Retro final comes up, followed by night practice and then the Supercar final. So there is a timetable to stick to, and the thumbs up means that we are set to go racing then. 5 laps for the Super Retro final. Is it going to be a BMW or a Peugeot or a Ford or a Lancia? Let's see if they go racing. Good start with the front-wheel drive Peugeot getting the power down. Bad start by the Escort 175 of Steve Pascoe. But as they hit the loose for the first time with no joker lap to have to think about, it is Nigel Davey that leads the way. Ray Morgan round the outside for 2nd place. But Vince Bristow's BMW tries to squeeze up the inside. John Cross goes 4th in the Lancia, getting ahead of Gary Simpson, who wasn't that quick out of the blocks, but there for 2nd Ray Morgan. But then very late on the brakes, Vince Bristow to the outside line, going into the Devil's Elbow. Does he go all the way round the outside? Stands his ground right enough. The rear-wheel drive Mark III Escort on the outside line up the hill. Ray Morgan goes ahead. Vince Bristow breaks late, and the two rival Hastings garage owners absolutely together as the pendulum back of the BMW swings one way as he comes out of the hairpin. Bristow can't get alongside Morgan. and Ray is determined to go after Nigel Davey, who led in his third qualifying race, but was then reeled in towards the end by Ray Morgan. So Ray, if he can stay with him early doors in this longer race, have got a real chance. As drama though coming out of the chicane. Onto the grass goes Bristow, all sideways is Davey. Bristow is still trying to sort out a slide, and he has done so, but he's also got the lead of the race out of all of that. Ray Morgan badly delayed, and so up the inside has come John Cross in the Stratos for third place. So scrap all that, you've got a new race leader, and now it is Ray Morgan doing the chasing, and there he's all sideways, he's off the road again, he's heading for something solid this time, but again he just misses it, and Ray Morgan is having a very, very wild ride indeed, so he's lost another place coming into the Devil's Elbow. Now Gary Simpson is ahead of him. There he is, heading up the hill. So, who's leading? Anybody want to lead? Yes, Vince Bristow is the leader. Nigel Davey is second. John Cross third in the Stratos. Down the hill they come. Bristow sideways, very sideways. Does the odd single venue rally in that car as well. Loves the sideways element. And, of course, Vince Bristow, who has come from Super Nationals into Retro as the car's got older. Very, very competitive driver indeed. Holding sway right now with Nigel Davey under attack from the Lancia Stratos of John Cross. So there they are across the loose. Now, what's going on behind? Gary Simpson, surprisingly not going quicker today, is losing out to Ray Morgan, who breezes on by. There is Vince Bristow down at the Devil's Elbow, and he gets the car nicely through the corner, despite the fact that Nigel Davey, to the eye, might just be a little bit nearer to him. So 2 laps done. This is lap 3. They've got ahead of them the escort of Steve Pascoe, which is about to come down to the loose section, and will there be lapped shortly by Bristow, who in turn has got John Cross going very, very, very wide in the Lancia. Go back 4 decades, Mouse Bank would have been there, and that would have caught him out, but he's lost second place to Nigel Davey again. In 4th place is Ray Morgan, still pushing on hard, and there, Lapper, you don't see it often in Rallycross, but it's about to happen as Steve Pascoe gets out of the way of Vince Bristow, and that's Gary Simpson now facing the wrong way. So Gary, whose pace was a bit suspect anyway, has now had a drama. Where is that? It's coming up Harry Hill. So Gary Simpson has had a moment, and he's parked on the grass. He's about to get out of the car. Race run, so big disappointment as there. Number 175, Steve Pascoe, is going to be lapped in a moment. Nigel Davey chases on behind him in 2nd place. Vince Bristow is away and gone. There is the leader then. He's about to start his last lap as again that BMW dances its way across the loose section of circuit here. So Bristow, Davey, Cross, Morgan, that is the top 4. Ignore the escort if you can, because that is a back marker. It's a lap down now as the race leader there, Vince Bristow, comes through. We've had a day of surprises in terms of who's been winning finals. Could have another one here. Vince Bristow, with all due respect, he's not somebody that's done a huge amount of winning, but he's on to do it now as he comes sideways out of the elbow. And drama behind. Nigel Davey has fallen over Steve Pascoe, and he's in the gravel out of 2nd place. So Nigel Davey getting tripped up by the traffic, and he's out of the race, having been pretty much one of the dominant drivers all day. So does that give anybody to be second? It's John Cross just ahead of Ray Morgan right now, but Vince Bristow is going to come through to score the race win. That's the easy part of the race. So Vince Bristow wins, really good drive in a very lively race. For second, it is going to be John Cross just ahead of Ray Morgan. And then for 4th, it'll be Paul Pascoe, will it not, in the Sierra Cosworth. And that's about your lot. So for a notional 5th place, it would be Nigel Davey, although he retired. 6th in the gravel as well, Steve Pascoe, and 7th, also a retirement, Gary Simpson. But there, Nigel Davey and Steve Pascoe have been, by semaphore, discussing who did what. Of course, it was always the other driver's fault, but Nigel Davey not very happy about life, that is for sure. Vince Bristow, though, is a very happy man because he has scored a race win. He wins round 2 of the Super Retro Rallycross Championship ahead of John Cross and Ray Morgan, finishing in 3rd place. There's going to be a little bit of tidying up to be done before the circuit can be given over to anything else, and we look forward, hopefully, to more drama. Maybe not quite so dramatic with cars going off the road, but more good racing certainly tomorrow when we have round 3 of the championship. But for now, Marshall's on the scene to help get cars out of an awkward place, and Vince Bristow can go and celebrate a win in round 2 of the Super Retro Rallycross Championship.
Something very unusual is going to happen in a minute here at Lydden Hill. for round 2 of the Five Nations BRX. As you can see behind me, the sun is falling. That means we're about to go into darkness. And yes, we're going to have Rallycross in the dark here at Lydden for the first time ever.
For round 2 of the 2020 Motorsport UK British Rallycross Championship, the supercars are under floodlights here at Lydden Hill. We've had the 3 qualifying races, we've had the semi-finals, and the grid puts Enzo Ede, the Belgian driver, GT champion, on pole position. Liam Duran lines up alongside him, and Ollie Bennett there in the Mini rounds out the front row of the grid, ready for this 6-lap final. The second row of the grid, Ollie O'Donovan in the Fiesta, making his way into place, 3rd in the championship, and the best placed of those on the grid fighting for championship honours. The championship leader lines up alongside him, number 64, Mark Donnelly, in the Citroën. And then on the 3rd row of the grid, multiple British champion in GB1 is Julian Godfrey, 2nd in the points currently. Alongside him will be multiple Supernational champion there, Tristan Ovenden in the Citroën. He is 4th in the championship, and his Citroën slots into place. And it should be Pat Durand to complete the grid in the venerable Citroën C4. There it is, heading into position. And Pat Durand, who was a little bit disquiet earlier on in the day about his pace, has done enough to get into the final. Let's see what pans out from here. Enzo Ede and Liam Duran have been blindingly quick all day in the JC Race Technic cars. What's going to pan out then in this final? Let's find out. 6 laps, ready to go. The lights will blink green under the floodlights. Now we go racing. Brilliant getaway by Bennett, who surges across the front of everybody. Godfrey looks for a way through the pack as well. Down towards the loose they go then. Some go Joker. Duran almost turns sideways there. Does get a tap in the tail from Enzo Ede. That delays both of them, and Bennett is away and gone. So Duran all sideways, losing ground, loses pace relative to Bennett up front. There he is running 2nd. It's Enzo Ede 3rd, and Ollie Bennett, who's had a bit of a challenging day. He's never won a British Championship round, leads the pack at the moment. Godfrey was way out wide, and O'Donovan's got past him. So for the first of 6 passings of the hairpin, Ollie Bennett leads the way. Liam Duran going after him. Pat Duran has jokered, so has Donnelly, so has Tristan Upton, and they hit the loose at paddock for the first time. Up front, it is then Ollie Bennett in the Mini leading the way. Liam Duran is 2nd, Enzo Ede 3rd, showing good pace. Gap back to 4th, Ollie O'Donovan, Julian Godfrey 5th. Look down from the drone as way out sideways again goes Duran, and off the road goes Bennett. The race leader chucks it away. He gets it all wrong, he falls to 4th, so now it's game on between the Audis. Liam Duran leads, but he's being caught by Enzo Ede, who is no stranger to night racing. He's done plenty of 24 hours at Spa, for example, and at Zolder. He knows all about racing in the dark under floodlights, and he's having a go to close the gap to this man, Liam Duran. It is lap 2 of 6, out of the hairpin they come. Downhill they plunge. Duran on home soil leads the way. Quickest in Q1, turns the car onto the loose now, but Enzo Ede chasing after him. Out of the chicane they go. Ede was quickest in Q1, but forgot to joker. So he'll be very, very keen not to make that mistake again. He's got it right ever since. The spotter took the blame in Q1, but right now the Belgian driver, first time at Lydden, is not quite close enough to Duran to really threaten. Further back, Ollie Bennett is in 4th, stuck behind Ollie O'Donovan. And right now the best of those that have jokered is Mark Donnelly, the championship leader, who runs 5th. So it is Duran up front then in 2nd spot as they come out of the hairpin, Enzo Ede. But look at that for 3rd, nose to tail O'Donovan. He's only just ahead of Bennett. Fiesta just ahead of Mini as they drop down now towards paddock. The race leaders come out of the chicane with Duran clear of Ede by over a second. That's for 3rd. It's O'Donovan versus Bennett, who's off the road again. He's having a very, very torrid time. He just misses all of the markers, and as he goes down to Chestons, he's now got Mark Donnelly on his tail, and because Ollie Bennett was off the road, he was the wrong side of the beam there, so whether that will ever count, we'll wait and see. But right now, Duran leads the pack. Enzo Ede has jokered. Is that a good or a bad thing? Because it may well bring him back into traffic. It keeps him ahead of O'Donovan, that's for sure. So Enzo Ede having to defend at the moment rather than go on the attack. Behind O'Donovan is still Ollie Bennett. And that means that Enzo Eid is the best of those that have jokered, but he's not close enough to Liam Duran, who now goes joker in order to take over the race lead. All Enzo Eid can do now is to try to be neat and tidy and very, very quick as Duran gets himself back. There you can see from the joker lap onto the normal route, he keeps the race lead. For third place, Ollie O'Donovan is keeping Bennett at bay, and both of those have yet to joker. They could therefore fall down the order before the very end of the race. Liam Duran, with the brakes glowing, comes now up towards the hairpin. Brilliant shot, great to see the cars on the front lights. You can see how hard they're being worked. And now back onto the power comes Liam Duran. There in second is Enzo Eid, look behind, third O'Donovan, fourth Bennett. So Ollie Bennett, who led early on, went off the road, lost the race lead, still seemingly denied that maiden British Championship win. Liam Duran has just started his last lap. The tail lights flick through. There you've got going over the timing line O'Donovan, who jokers, and Ollie Bennett is there, and that's Godfrey. Julian Godfrey has stopped. He's got a problem on the last lap of the race. So Julian Godfrey, second in the championship coming into today's event, has ground to a halt there on the loose at Chessons. And that looks terrible. I don't think he's going to be able to coax it into life and rejoin from there. So Julian Godfrey has gone. And up front, it is going to be a race win for Liam Duran, and he's made it look relatively straightforward, hasn't he? Plunges down the hill into Paddock. He comes, throws it sideways, way out wide he goes, hands onto the slide. Liam Duran, ever the showman, wins round 2 of the Motorsport UK British Rallycross Championship. Enzo Eid takes second. Ollie Bennett comes over the line for third. And what about Ollie O'Donovan at the end? He was fourth. Now, I don't think Bennett ever jokered. So O'Donovan, no, it is Mark Donnelly, in fact, who is fourth over the line. Fifth is O'Donovan. Sixth, Tristan Ovenden, and seventh, Pat Duran. But according to the timing screen, Ollie Bennett never served the joker lap. Now, there was a lap where he was off the road. Just trying to recount whether he did joker, and the timing screen has missed it, but there's no confirmation of a joker lap next to Ollie's name. So if he doesn't, that's a 30-second penalty, which will put him to the back. So went from bad to worse, that race, potentially. Anyway, Liam Duran is the race winner. Result will be confirmed. Check out the Five Nations British Rallycross Championship website for more news. But right now, Liam Duran is a delighted race winner. Enzo Eid second, and on the road, Ollie Bennett for third place, but that is now being amended, and Ollie Bennett does indeed drop to last. So it is going to be Mark Donnelly, the championship leader, who picks up third place. Fourth, Ollie O'Donovan. Fifth, Tristan Ovenden. Pat Duran sixth, and then seventh goes the way of Ollie Bennett because he did not joker. He gets the 30-second penalty. Well done, Liam Duran, winner of round 2 of the Motorsport UK British Rallycross Championship.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's great to have a good result for once this year.
Well, very unusual. We've never had Lydden in the dark before for a Rallycross Championship.
And that's it now for the round 2 of the Five Nations BRX Championship with Cooper tyres. We'll see you tomorrow for round 4.
Thanks, Jess. I think I couldn't have said it better myself. Good night.